All right, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Welcome to another episode of Taylor House Publishing. Let me share this real quick. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. When y'all tune in, y'all make sure y'all let me know where y'all coming from in the comments. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe, like, and share the video. Let me share this to my social media pages. But tonight, we are once again happy to have a very special guest, my brother Michael Oliver. He is a community activist among other things here in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And today we're going to talk about some of the things that have been happening for quite some time. Many of you know of the police brutality incident that happened about 2 weeks ago. Uh, what's up, Thomas Ruffin from Biloxi, Latasha Besso? We're going to get into a little bit of that, but a young man, he was slammed, handcuffed by police. He was, suffered broken ribs and dislocated shoulder here in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Now, we've been covering stories all across the nation. But my brother Michael, he reached out to me and he wanted to talk about some things that he has experienced from Wayne County law enforcement. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to let a few more y'all get in. I am going to play the introduction song. I definitely haven't played it for a while, so I want to play this real quick and then share it to social media, and we'll be right back with you. What's up, Rico? Appreciate you. Just 1 second. Let me go ahead and play this song, and then we'll be right back with you.
From local stories to Wayne County news, get ready to dive into everything happening in North Carolina with Taylor House Publishing. Got a story to share? Shoot us an email at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. If you're looking to publish your book or need some top-notch mentorship, we've got your back. Join the excitement with the one and only Richard Taylor, right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House, bring the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you on your feet.
Taylor House, we got the scoop.
Taylor House Publishing.
All right, so we are back once again. Peace and blessings, and like I said, I got my brother Michael Oliver. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's been a good day.
Been a good day. All right, so tell, I guess, a little bit. I guess either you can jump right into the story, or you can give a kind of a backdrop of what's going on and who you
Well,
are.
I'll give you with the police brutality. I live in Mount Olive, so this is something that happened here, but it's all Wayne County. We're all associated with the same kind of abuse if we live in America, and that's just the way it is. So I was cleaning up the backyard at my home, and I lit a little fire to burn some boxes. I leave to take the kid who was helping me, take him, get him some Chinese food. My wife calls me and tells me that the police are here. Okay. I don't get the call because I'm inside of a store. So when I get back to the car, I see it. So I drive home real fast. When I get there, the police are leaving the house. Officer comes down to go back to the squad car. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to talk to you. I said, I live here. I don't need to talk to you. So he jumps in his car. When he's getting in his car, I'm like, hey, I know the chief, bro. I know the chief of police, bro. I'm about to call him. So he speeds off. Well, I coached the chief of police in high school. So I called him and I say, look, your officer's over here disrupting my home over here, disrespecting my wife, and is disrespecting me. because all I want to know is what is going on in my home. So he drives off, boom. They gave my wife a ticket. Okay, gave her a ticket for whatever conversation they had. She told he comes to the door and knocks on the door and tells her, go out and put the fire out. I'm gonna watch you put the fire out. Now, what kind of officer addresses a woman in her home like that? So she went outside. Now, mind you, I'm not back. So she goes outside and puts the little fire out. It's not even a big fire. She puts the fire out, and he asks her, where's your ID? And she's like, I'm at my home. I'm home. I'm not giving you my ID. No. So she goes in the house. He goes around and begins to write her a ticket, a citation for something she doesn't even have anything to do with.
So he wrote her the citation for burning the property. I mean, burning the boxes or something.
Yeah, burning on the property. So the chief of police, he did take care of it. I give him credit for that. But it's the officer and his behavior.
Now, who was that officer?
I'm sorry, I don't have that name right now, but I can get it.
Oh, okay. So now, why would he ask for ID? Because, I think the law is, unless they have reasonable and articulable suspicion, they're not supposed to ask you for her ID anyway.
Right. He was the kind of cop. This is what he showed me when I came up. He was just a jackass. And he thinks he can put Black people in their place anytime he wants to. And that's exactly what he thought he was going to get away with. So that's why, and that's what's going on. That's what's going on in our community. They come in and they know that a lot of our people don't know the law and are afraid of them, and they just abuse our people. And it's going on all over the country, not just here.
So is that your first experience since how long have you been living in Manala?
I've been here about 5 or 6 years, but there have been a lot of experiences I've heard about and I know about personally, how they getting roughed up by the police. And go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we have addressed it with the police earlier in his tenure, and I really hadn't heard any rumblings about it since. But when you have an officer like this moving around the community, if you do it to me, and we live in a nice area, what are you doing in the rest of the town? People, and that's important. See, it's not just what happens to me or my wife or my children, is what's happening every day in our community to our people. And we have to come together as people, especially with the climate like it is right now in the country.
So what do you suggest that we do? And I got to shout out my boy Dave Weaver, man. Yeah, you don't have to apologize to me, man. I think he called me Charlie Gaddy, but that's good. I won't trip on my brother. So what do you suggest, we do? Because I know you mentioned some things that you want to do in regards to the situation with the young brother who was slammed in handcuffs. What do you suggest?
First of all, those police should all be suspended. And they had a city council meeting, and I think it was yesterday that they had the meeting, and I think one of them has been suspended, but they all need to be suspended and have some sensitivity training for our people, because you got 4 or 5 cops on one guy, on one man, and then you turn around and slam him on the ground. There's no part of that is helpful to any humans. And we're being abused. And one of the ways I always feel is effective is to gather and have a protest with accountability from the police department.
Okay.
There's got to be some accountability that has to be demanded from the police department. Because you're patrolling our community, and we expect you to treat us like human beings.
Yeah, and you mentioned something very powerful when you said the word training, right? And I was at that city council meeting last night, and
Mhm.
I got to tell you, I was disappointed in some of the council members who did not address the issue, and I was appreciative of other council members who did address the issue. So if y'all want to see those comments and what I feel about them, I'll make sure y'all tune in tomorrow at 8. I did a whole video about it. But one of the other activists I spoke to talked about training, but he was like that guy who got out of the car. If you guys haven't seen the video,
Mhm.
I may play it for you. But he said that guy that got out of the car, he got out angry. Like he had already some issues. Like that guy was mad. And he mentioned that, officers are human beings. They have problems. Maybe, his wife was cheating on him or whatever the case may be. But he
Right.
got out all mad, like ready for anger. Like even he told the young man's mother, hey, get away from here. Which his mother was trying to de-escalate the situation. So
Right.
I think training is good, but you have to. These officers need counseling too. Most, and many people don't know, police officers, they have like the highest divorce rate. They have a high alcoholism rate. All those things because the things they got to do on a daily basis. So
Right.
when you're dealing with people who are, mentally ill themselves, then there
Mhm.
has to be measures in place to make sure that they don't take their mental illness out on others whom they supposed to be protecting.
Well, that's true. But let's address some things about politics. A city councilman is a politician. And it's good that we have color as city councilmen. That's great. But politics has never made gains for our people. Us being in the streets has made gains. Us moving the needle for education has helped our people. These are the things we have to focus on. Us being together, us trading together, doing things that matter in a real community. Those things we have to take our own accountability for and begin to work together in community instead of we're all single and we're out here trying to just make it on our own. Well, we're not going to make it like that. We have to pull together as a people because we are our own nation. And I think sometimes we forget we're an oppressed people in America. We are oppressed. Every day you wake up and walk out of your home, you're an oppressed human being because somebody has authority over you and how you're moving. And we don't look at it like that, but that's the reality of it. Because when I go down to the General Assembly in Raleigh, I look at the General Assembly and all I see is white people, maybe 2 or 3 blacks out of how many are there. So we're being ruled by other people. And we have to come together and understand that. We have to be different like we were back in the 50s, in the early 60s and 70s. We had a togetherness. We had something going on that's Black power. And Black power is all power for all of us. And that's how we made the gains we made because people died. They died and sacrificed their lives for us to be able to do the things we're doing today. Now, what are we doing today to pave the way for those behind us? And that is the key here. How do we do it? There's many ways to attack a system, just like Martin Luther King was nonviolent. Malcolm was talking, hey, by any means necessary, let's step to them. The Panthers were over here, Rap Brown, and we were everywhere. Stokely Carmichael, we were everywhere fighting for freedom. And we have to fight for freedom if we want to be free and level the playing field the best we can at this time in our history as a people.
Yeah, and you mentioned something which I agree with is about unity and expecting something from those people in power. Um,
Hmm.
you know, we can do much more, like you said, like in bonding together and building with each other and building our own schools and communities, rather than going to the government, the General Assembly, the people who don't look like us, who most naturally going to look out for people who look like them and
Hmm.
expect them to give us the gains that we want. And so, I definitely agree with that. The difference between then and now, I think a lot of us feel that we have arrived now. And I
Right.
see my professional 298. What's up? Thank you for coming. And I see all the comments. She says, I'm not oppressed. Or he says, he's not oppressed, right? And,
Hmm.
maybe in some regards, people feel like they are not. But, in the totality of things, when we figure out, okay, who runs the banks, who runs the schools, who runs the housing, who runs the medical field, who has the grocery stores, who runs the military, who runs the labor, who runs entertainment. None of those aspects of society are controlled by people who look like me. And so
Hmm.
that's what I think Michael is trying to get us to see. Yeah, we're not oppressed. Like we're not, back in slavery days where people can whoop you and tell you to go in the house and
Right.
you got to be back in by 10. No, it's not physical. You know what I'm saying? It's structural. There's a ceiling that you can get to, even when you're in those positions of power. I always hear people in the political realm say, well, yeah, well, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to change and I'm going to fight for free. Like you're one person fighting against a General Assembly of a well-oiled machine that's been running like it's supposed to be running for years. People saying like the police, what we're seeing, it's running just how it's supposed to be ran. You know, my homegirl pulled out some facts last night. The police department in Goldsboro, Wayne County, is 80% white, but the population of Wayne County is about 50% black and white, or whatever. So you have a majority being ruled, by a majority of police force. So that's what I think my brother meant, by being oppressed.
And let me share this with all the listeners. We can all agree to disagree. And see, I respect everybody's opinion, but let's look at the masses. We're not saying, and there's a whole lot of people that look like us who have nice cars, they have nice homes, they have nice jobs, and they feel as though they're not oppressed. They really feel that. But when you drive around the corner and you go to the places that our people, the masses of our people live, that's called oppression. And those who have escaped oppression may not be looking over there to see that these people in oppression, and may say, oh, well, they're not stepping up to the plate and hitting home runs, maybe, and they didn't go to school and they didn't have these things. Well, a lot of times our people don't have opportunities. They're living in places that you don't want to live, but they're forced to live there. Why? Because they're lazy, because they're not good people? No, they're there because that's how this country's set up. It's a systematic way to keep people in check. And some people are fortunate enough to get through up to the glass ceiling and can't go any further. And that's reality.
Yeah, yeah, and people have to realize that there are some people who lack the opportunity, who lack the um the favor. Like I use this analogy about 15 years ago. I went to rent an apartment. And the guy who owned, I was like 30. The guy who owned the apartment complex was 30, right? White guy. And I'm like, man, this you run this joint? You know, I went to the office, asked him, do they have an apartment? He said, yeah, I'm filling out the application. You run this joint? He said, well, really, my grandfather built these back in the 40s. My grandfather built them. He got old, and then he left them to me, right? And he got an apartment of 100 units of $1,000 a month. That's $100,000 a year thrown in his lap, his little white lap, right? Same guy, same. Now, and I had to think about, I said, well, Dad, in the 40s, my grandfather couldn't even get a building permit.
Right.
Because it had laws set up against my grandfather, to even build his own house. So while my father was being held back and oppressed, his grandfather was able to leave him generational wealth. And so that's what I mean when, that happened a long time ago, but certain people are still reaping the benefits.
That's right.
Today.
Right.
Can I go out and build up? Yeah, I can, but that was handed to him on a silver platter.
Right.
So that's what, we are starting from behind the 8 ball. We're starting with the chain on our leg. We have hurdles in our lane. So, I think people fail to understand, like my family, my mother and father, they worked by the toil of their sweat and worked for years to provide me and my sisters a life where we could go to college and we could attain some things, but they didn't have a nest egg that was left by their father. They had to work and struggle and strive, where the wealth that has been built in this country have been built off the backs of my ancestors working for free, working for pennies. But the wealth, their wealth, their reward have went to other people. So I don't think people realize how deep it goes. And to hear people say, well, that was long ago, but the residual effects are here today.
That's right. And if you really understand what's going on, you can look at the prison system. The prison system is a slave system where people are disappearing from the streets. Our people disappear from the streets one at a time from different counties, different little towns around North Carolina. And you look up and you're on a camp with 1,500 men, and 1,400 are Black. Now, how does that happen? How do I know? I was living there. You see? So I was looking at young men walking past me who should be in college. But instead, you're in the penitentiary on road squad, working for 75 cents a week out there cleaning up the community, doing stuff to beautify the community and making 75 cents a week. These things are happening, and all the prisons and jails are filled up with our people, and it's not by a mistake. It's not, but all our people, all our young men are bad. That's not the truth. We're a great people with a lot of great young people that need some mentorship and some direction. And that's a lot of stuff that I do in my work with the Kibalon. We go out and we minister. We mentor kids in the community, trying to get them to understand the battles that they have to face. And that is what we should all be mentoring somebody. Each one, teach one. Teach somebody how to live.
And I commend you for that. And we're going to talk about that real quick. But I do want to bring up, once again, this book. This book is Blue Lights in My Rear View. Now, this is a book that I've written, and it's about the history of policing in America, all the way back from the slave patrols, in which the police were formed to make sure that Black people were still in slavery. And then he just mentioned that today, prison is modern day slavery. The 13th Amendment says slavery is forbidden unless you've been convicted of a crime. So I too have been in those cells, in those dormitories where the majority of the occupants of those places are Black men. And so how does the majority of prisons end up being Black when the minority of America is Black? Because we are targeted more than anybody. We are prosecuted more than anybody. We are profiled. We have more police contact, not because we are worse than others, but because they are in our neighborhoods more than they are in, the other neighborhoods, stopping, frisking, searching, monitoring, patrolling, slave patrols, police patrols, our neighborhood. So that is something that we have to be aware of also. And I like that Bold and Unchained. Our people, namely our youth, are mentally, physically, and spiritually restless, learning about the glorification of white men. And I mentioned that a lot when I talk about when I was in school. I was like, they say I was the smartest person in my school, right? They said I was, I was in class with all white people, A honor roll. They used to take me and another white boy out for tests to see who was smart, right? But by the time I was in the 9th grade, I was just like the brother or the sister said. I was just so tired of learning about white people. Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Albert Einstein, King Ferdinand, Queen Isabella, Louis Pasteur. Everything was white. And at a point, your self-knowledge kicked in. You're like, wait a minute, man. Only thing they teaching about me is I was Black, I was a slave, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and Abraham Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? But after a while, you get tired of that. And then that's why so many of us get disillusioned. We drop out, we turn to the streets, we turn to anything that will stimulate our minds, because all throughout school, we are conditioned to see ourselves as inferior. Nothing ever good happened that we're Black people. They don't teach us about the great African kings, right? But we can name all the kings of England from 1619 to 1842, right?
Right.
All of the civilizations, none of that is learned through school. So I think that is a great point, Bold and Unchained, to to bring forth, which leads us back into that cycle of restlessness. And so you being an advocate like myself, what are you seeing, with the youth? And what kind of obstacles are you running into? Trying to be a mentor, trying to prevent them from going the path that we did and having to experience some of the things that we did.
The biggest thing I see is our culture. The culture is gobbling up our children. The culture is saying, don't do anything of importance. It doesn't, all you have to do is smoke, drink, thug it out, just really thug it out now. You got to do that, and you're going to be all right with everybody. But that's not reality. And I had kids coming out of junior high, and they were really good kids, doing good in school. And they went to high school and got in the big fish pond in high school, and they started smoking weed and got in gangs and totally lost their mind and lost their way. And then I have some other kids who stuck to the plan. They stuck to the plan, and now they're A students, and they're playing on basketball teams, and they're doing well. But they had to fight the culture to stay the course, because our culture is saying, hey, listen to the music. The music is telling you something. That music is telling you something. And it's not telling you, hey, try to have a great life. Try to do what's right. Try to have your own business. Go out and help other people in the community. Go cut someone's grass. It's not telling you that. It's telling them, and they're young, to thug it up, man. Thug it up. And when I was locked up, They was in there thugging it up. So you're thugging it up in the streets, and you still go to prison and you're thugging it up. So there's no change. So when you are there, whether you're in the streets or locked up, this is where you're headed. And when you get there, they never cut the lights off. The light is always on. And one bed empties. When that bed empties, they're bringing more people in. And they all look like us. There's Hispanics, a few poor whites, but that's it. So working with the children, the biggest thing is to try to get them, hey, try to stay out of trouble. Try to stay out of trouble. Try to do your work. Study and know who you are. Know the history of our people. That gives you power. It gives you power to know the great, great people that have gone before us. Our ancestors were great. What are we? That's always what I get back to. What are we? What are we leaving for those youths behind us? Are we just saying to them, hey, them niggas ain't no good. They're not about it. Are we saying, hey, I'm going to help that young brother because he needs help. He needs some guidance. He needs some mentorship, and he can make it. And that's what's so important in our community, is trying to get these kids to stray away from the culture of being nobody.
Yeah, and once again, it's glorified through the music, and that's where we got to take responsibility, as ourselves. I guess I'll say I'm an elder too. But, even like younger parents, you see it on social media, everybody smoking and drinking. It's funny today, I was out in the projects, and it was a fire truck, police there, just girls out arguing and fighting. And I went out there to record. I said, no, I'm not going to record. I'm not even going to put this out in the atmosphere. And I just had to stand around and watch and just think, like, why do we dislike each other so much? And I had to watch through Facebook with these particular girls going back and forth. And these were the same particular girls who were out about to fight in front of the police, calling each other all types of names. Little kids out there. Little kids are seeing that. And so they're traumatized. They're thinking, okay, well, this is what it is. So we have to take a responsibility as a culture to treat ourselves better. In that way, when people come to our community, they won't want to treat us like animals because we're not treating ourselves like animals, dragging each other through the streets, shooting and robbing each other. And I know people kill each other where they live. You know what I'm saying? Like they say black on black crime. No. People in Idaho, white people in Idaho kill white people in Idaho. Just
right,
as much
that's
as,
correct.
Mexicans kill Mexicans. In Ireland, Irish kill Irish. So it's not, just a black thing, as they say. But we have to take responsibility regardless of what everybody else is doing, because we are not that type of people. Like I said, like in the ancient days, we were a communal people. Like we were all together. We lived in communities, and communities meant like, if you don't have, I'm going to give. If I don't have, you're going to give me. Everybody made sure everybody was good. And somewhere down the line, maybe once again, it's the culture, maybe it's this new age, maybe it's capitalism, maybe, whatever, somewhere around along the way, we lost that. We lost that sense of community.
It's funny you say that, because there's a big there was a disconnect after integration. And I don't know how old people are, but I'm old enough to have lived through integration. And I know what our community looked like before integration. You see, we had our own stores. We had our own barbershops. We still got barbershops, but our own businesses, our own taxis. We couldn't ride in theirs. So we had to have our own people, own businessmen. We had our own furniture stores. We had our own everything. Well, integration comes. And now we're able to go in to the white stores and into the white restaurants. And that took us out because we were so eager to go white because it was better, we thought. And we gave up our businesses. Right here in Mount Olive, there was a list out, and I think it had to be, as small as this place is, could have been 50 on the list. I'm not, don't want to misquote it, but at least 50 Black businesses were here in Mount Olive in the 70s. Right now, I bet you there's not a good 5. And integration played a big part in this. And then our movement, when you were able to go to the white universities, because when I was a kid, most of our people went to HBCUs. They weren't going to Carolina. They weren't going to ECU and these white schools, NC State and all that. That wasn't happening. But after integration, we were able to get through and go to those schools. So we forgot about our stuff. Our stuff wasn't important. It was more important to go to Carolina than it was to go to Johnson C. Smith, because that meant more, we thought. But as the truth is starting to come back to us now, because what's the climate in this country saying, you really don't matter here. We don't care about you. And if you don't watch yourself, you will become extinct at our hands. Because if you check out the food supply, it's poison. Immunizations, it's poison. The water, it's poison. So many things are going on, and we have to give our people information. Do not let your child take all those vaccines, because there's something in it. When I was a young man, I knew nobody that looked like me that had autism.
Yeah.
Nobody. If someone did have autism, they were white. Now it's rampant in our community. What happened? Is it something we ate? Is something we drank? Is something we're getting shots in? These are real issues that we have to grapple with in a community, to say, hey, don't eat that food. Don't keep going to Burger King. Don't go to McDonald's. Don't go to these places. Try to grow some food yourself. Try to cook food. Don't go to fast food, because there's something in it that's destroying our people. And we have to warn people, because a lot of people don't study. A lot of people don't go and gouge for information and try to understand what's really going on in the world around them. And we have to be the sounding board, those of us who know, and study. So I can't get up here and tell you I know African-American history if I didn't study and read and know what is going on. And because there's always new information going on all the time. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in DC around the White House right now, you'll be oblivious. Things are happening and you're not even keeping up with it. And before you know it, a new bill's in and you're not even aware of the changes that's going on. And we have to be a sounding board so people can understand, hey, we are under attack. Our people are under attack like never before. So we can think it's sweet out here if we want to, but just keep looking around. So all you got to do, just ride through the hood, ride around where we live, and you'll say, something is going on that's not right here.
Yeah, and and I like the fact that, you know, things are happening now to awaken people, because though this thing has been laying dormant, you know, a lot of these things has been covert, like undercover, right? Now it's overt, like people are really coming out with it, and I like that. Like,
me too.
I like for you to tell me you don't like me, so I don't like, you know, people shaking my hand and stabbing me in the back, which you know has been the past. Like, you know, with make the laws, take it away. All right, so I know what I'm up against. So now we know it ain't all good. So now what are we going to do? But I do got to you know, read this comment from the last Shelby first. He said, I don't believe that narrative. I guess he was talking about integration, respectively. He said, this is a white supremacist society. They wasn't going to allow us to flourish being isolated. Now, what do you think about that? Because we do have examples of that where, you know, Wilmington, you know, Tulsa, there's so many of those situations where Black people had a nice, flourishing society, and then the whites came and said, nah, get out of here. We're gonna destroy all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can agree with a lot of that. I agree with that. You know, my goal is not to have our own little island in somebody else's world. My thought is we're living in somebody else's world, but we also have our own stuff. We also trade together amongst ourselves so we can move money in our own neighborhood. And I think that's what's most important. And that's what I was really saying about what happened in integration. It killed our businesses. It hurt.
Now they say that dollar only stays in our community for like 6 hours. Like when we get paid, when you get paid, Black women and Black women and Black men, you take your money, whether you're going to the Chinese store to get some food because you want to celebrate, whether you're going to the Nike store to get some Nikes, whether you're going to take your girls to the Koreans to get their nails done, you take them to the Mid-Easterns to get the Brazilian yaki. You know, everywhere we spend our money, it doesn't come back to us. Like you don't see a lot of West Indians. You don't see a lot of East Indians, Asians coming to, you know, Mary's soul food joint and getting plates. You know what I'm saying? But we spend our money everywhere, even going to the corner store. You know, they don't put money back in our community. So that's what you mean as far as, you know, sustaining ourselves, keeping our money within ourselves. You know, so yeah, and that's a problem.
That produces jobs. That produces jobs for our people, because a man can have a store because people are coming in and patronizing him. So he can hire somebody to keep moving and keep building. And we have to pay attention to our lack of businesses. You know, our lack of businesses that don't exist. And we're going somewhere, taking our money, like what you're saying. We're spending our money in other people's place. They're going to them big, nice homes because they're making money. We're not making money in our community because our money's leaving with them. It's going to their house.
And they got their little children in there just staring up the stir fry, right, taking your money. How much? $10? Okay. They don't even speak to you. They take you. They almost snatch your money. All right, 10 minutes. And you know what I'm saying? There ain't no conversation, no love. Give me your money and go. We spend money with people who do not like us. Like a lot of these cultures, I was talking to a brother from Brooklyn earlier. He was like, you go to some of these stores. They don't like you for real. Like they don't really like you. They, no matter how long you know them, no matter how long they've been in their community, they laugh and joke with you. They don't really like you. You know what I'm saying? But we get here. I know you don't like me just here. Take our money. And you know, it's sad that the only businesses we have, I have to say it, and correct me if I'm wrong, we got the barber shop, we got the beauty salon. You know what I'm saying? We got those two. Other than that, we got the church. Like everybody and their mama will want to open a church. If we don't have no more churches in the Black community all across the world, we don't need another church. Like I rode down Slocum Street one day and I counted like 10 churches in a 2-block radius.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, it's already 3 churches here, right? Who was the genius who said, that's an empty lot. I don't want to build a store. You know, I don't want to build a bank. I don't want to build a print shop. I know what I can do. I can build another church. Like, why is it that's the only business that we think we can run? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know other businesses there are barbershops, beauty salons, and churches. You name me a few other businesses in the black. And I know we got, a couple here and there, but for the most part, restaurants. Okay, let me forget that restaurants. But we got to, once again, we got to grow our own food, because if Walmart closed today, what you gonna do?
We're gonna be
the food line. You ain't going to eat. What are you gonna do? You don't know how to grow your food. You don't know how to eat. If the bank's closed, like we don't have a bank, right? They close, what you gonna do? Medical facilities, right? What black hospitals do we own? And it's the 4 pillars of community: schools, hospitals, banks, and like grocery stores. 4 pillars of communities. We have none of them. So we can never say we have a black community, because we don't have the necessary necessities to sustain ourselves without other people in our community.
Well, that is the reality of it. And when you don't have those things, when you don't have those 4 pillars, you are living in oppression. There's just no other way around it. We in our minds, we can say, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm this and I'm that and I'm good. It's not we're in oppression. If those things don't exist for your people, we are a nation of our own. You can go to the Chinatown, and you don't see nobody but Chinese over there handling that money and working over there. You can go to Korea, you can go anywhere, and that's what you're going to see. But in our community, it's acceptable for us to do that. And all of these things and all of this stuff, behavior, comes from slavery. This are slave mentalities. Now, I didn't say that. You can go back and look at Minister Farrakhan. You can look at Malcolm. You can look at all these great orators that have out here talking. Then you can go look at historians like Dr. Benja Hockman, John Henry Clark, Chancellor Williams, these type people, Ivan Van Sertima. If you don't know these names, then you might not know your history, because there's more and more and more. Jawanza Kunjufu. These people studied the world for us so we can have knowledge of self from ourselves. Nobody but us. Those people, we have so many great scholars that look like us, that are out here telling truth, writing books. Don't miss it. See, don't miss it for Facebook. Don't miss it for sitting on Instagram. Don't miss it for recreational stuff that doesn't help our people. And that's what we have to get back to, understanding we are a real people being persecuted right before our eyes on TV. You look on Facebook, we're getting beat down in every town, city in the nation. So I don't know what else to call that, but I think we have a call to arms to say we need to maybe think about getting out in the streets and protesting for some police to be suspended, and then some policy changes so we can hold people accountable for what is really going on in our community. And I look forward to that challenge of gathering up people, communicating with people. We're going to have a protest to do something different. We ain't fighting nobody. We're going to make a statement of unity, a statement of love, and a statement of we are somebody. Not by putting it on the t-shirt, by putting it out there on your feet.
Yeah.
Put it on your feet and start walking, and walk down here, and we'll do what we need to do and come on back home. Because people aren't going back home because of the police brutality. They're getting, I was talking to a white guy recently, and we were talking about this stuff, and he was wanting to get it, but he couldn't quite get it. So I asked him, I say, how do you feel when the police get behind you and pull you over? How do you feel? He said, well, I don't want to get a ticket. I said, that's the difference between me and you. I said, I want to stay alive. That's the first thoughts in my head when I get pulled over. Hey, make sure nothing looks like a gun. Make sure I'm sitting up straight. Where my driver's license at? Because all these things are getting ready to happen. And I had to raise my kids who are boys. Hey, when the police pull you over, don't move. Have your driver's license where you can get to it without really a lot of movement. Because the ultimate goal is to go back home alive. That's the ultimate goal. Talking rough to the police and all that. Hey, if that's your thing, go ahead and get it. But I try to teach all young men and women, hey, the most important thing for you to do is get home safe. That's the most important thing, because I don't want to be gathering up a protest because some police slammed you on the sidewalk and you've done nothing. You might, another thing is that we have a lot of mental health in our community, and a lot of people are walking around, they're mentally ill, and the police abuse them, and they need sensitivity training to that. So I don't know the individual that happened in Goldsboro. I don't know anything about him, but I know it happened in Raleigh, and there was a protest behind it because you're abusing people who really can't even help themselves. And that's part of our job as community advocates for justice. It's not my job to try to explain to other people who are not on my level educationally as far as studying. It's just like anything else. If you don't study and know what you're talking about, then there's no debate. I'm not going to debate with people who I know don't study. If you don't know those men and women who are great scholars and business people who are writing books and teaching our people how to make it, then there's no need for me to argue with you. My job is to only teach. It's not to have a debate. Huh?
That's what I think John Reed Clark said. He said, I only debate my equals. On all others I teach. And so that's why I've had to learn to stop debating people. And Thomas Ruffin, I saw you comment about Robert Franklin Williams, and I studied him. Negroes with guns.
Yeah.
And once again, they did fear him. Because that I think that is why so many of our young brothers who have a gun legally, who, the first thing they say, oh, he had a gun, so we had to shoot him. There's always been a threat of, black people with guns, just like the Panthers. Like the Panthers open carry, they knew the gun laws and things like that. So when the playing field is equal, then there has to be a level of respect. I've always been one to, not so far as the eye for an eye, but sometimes you got to meet force with force. You can't just let people bully you, or it's going to continue to happen. Now, of course, we know we can't go to war with the police or war with the military, but when people understand that you are willing at least to protect yourself, then I think that does cut down on some of, the violence towards you. Every idea is good, especially, when you talk about, protests and coming out in unity. I was disappointed last night, I have to be honest, because at the city council meeting, the first city council meeting since they did that to the young man, I was expecting more people to come out and talk about it, at least voice their opinion. I think I had about 6 or 7 people out there with me. A few of them were older ladies. Most of them were ladies. Only 1 or 2 men out there. But, I said this in my video for tomorrow. If there was 100 people there, all saying, look, we want this officer off the force. They would have had to respect that.
Right.
They would have had to say, oh, like, and from my understanding, they had a police presence there because they figured, like I figured, it was going to be a whole lot of people coming in there, but you know, they had those police there for nothing. You know, so we have to do better as a community to you know, when it's time to act, because all throughout the week, people tapping on Facebook, this, that, did y'all see that? People sharing, you know, people going back and forth with people in the comments, the white people in the comments saying, yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with it. The black people saying, no, what do you mean? So all of that energy was wasted in a moment of outrage. You know, so we got to take that outrage and put it into action. We got to take that energy into say, you know what I'm saying? And thank for the people who did show up. Y'all know who you all were. I didn't say, I'm not going to say your name. I see some of y'all in the comments. But you know, I was kind of disappointed. Like, man, like, if y'all don't care, then why should I? Like, I could move down to Miami Beach, go back to selling real estate, change my voice to, hi, how are you guys? I would love to sell property. And I can do that, but I can sell without changing my voice. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's not me. But I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here fighting. Like, nobody, y'all cared the day that it happened, but are you going to continuously care? So that's one thing that I think we have to do better with being reactionary and being momentary with the fight. Like, this is a continuous struggle. You know, we can't just get mad, make a few Facebook posts and things are going to change. Because, like one person said, you know, they're just going to ignore you. You know what I'm saying? You can yell at the screen, but they're going to ignore you. But if you constantly show up day in and day out, they got to respect you.
That's 100% correct. But I'm going to share this with you in my thoughts about what you just said. And it's really important for advocates to always remember this. If I put together let's say I put together a protest and 10 people show up and I really want 150 to 200, I'm not disappointed because I know who I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with our people. And even though you want more people involved, our people are sleeping. We're sleeping. And I'll share this with you. We're the original people of the world. We are. We're the original people of the world. And we've always been a stubborn people. That's why when people tell me about the Bible, I know where they got the Bible from because I'm a historian. I'm a historian. They got it from
our
us.
history. That's our history.
10,000 years before, and then they discovered it and they took it and made it. Okay, that's great. Then people say, well, that's a white man's book. No, it's not. That's our book. They just took some of our stuff and put it together. This is the history of things. But I understand why our people don't come out, because we're an emotional people. We are like in a frenzy. You know, we get in a frenzy, and George Floyd was killed, and we had 5,000 people at a protest during the George Floyd situation in Raleigh. Okay, guess who led that? Guess who led that rally? It was led by 4 or 5 men who had come out of the penitentiary. Why is that? You know, let's get to work out here. Let's get to work out here, because there's something you see in the penitentiary. I'm not concerned with how you got there. What's the concern is, what did you do while you were there? What are you doing out here while you're out here? Are you going to make a difference in our community? Are you going to stand up and fight for our people? Or are you just going to be a Facebook junkie? Are you going to be a Instagram protester? It's got to be on those streets. Put your sneakers on, put a dress on, high heels, whatever you're coming in, but let's go. This is what it's about today, because we are going backwards very quickly, but slowly. We follow that. We are going backwards very quickly, but slowly. And we need to galvanize our people's minds about being somebody. It was an old saying, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. We better begin to remember that. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. And let's begin to clean up our communities. That's another thing I do with young people and my group, my wife and my kids. And we're out there with young people and we're picking up trash in our community that we threw down. And then when people ride by, they blow the horn and wave and keep it moving. Grown people. And it doesn't bother me because I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I understand. I understand how we move and why we move the way we move. And that's why I speak the way I do, because somebody needs to hear the truth about who we are and where we're going. We have two different directions we're about to go in. We can start galvanizing our people and go forward, or we can keep moving like we're moving and keep slipping backwards, because this world is changing and we better wake up and start helping our children understand computers. You don't have to go to college to make it. Go and get your vocation, because somebody always needs an electrician. Somebody always needs their water done, plumbers. That there's always needs for these type crafts that we used to do in America. And we just have to educate our people and get them to understand the real facts that are going on out here.
Yeah, and I see you in the comment, Genuine Indian. You right, black is a social status. So I understand where you're coming from with that. But you know, when we're talking, like it's hard to relay those concepts without just saying, black. Well, we say, I don't know if you're a Moorish Science Temple brother or you're indigenous, whatever you. But I mean, when I say black, people know what we mean. But I know black by law means deaf, and I understand all that, my brother. I can't. I don't have time to delve into all of that. And I know, you know what I'm saying too, Mike. I understand black, melanated people, Hebrew, Israelite, whatever you want to call us, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You let me know what you want me to call myself, and then I'll try to call it, why you're here. But you know what I'm saying?
But you know something though, brother? That is really good, because I'm gonna tell you something. In my lifetime, when I was a kid, we were called colored people. Colored. Then, not long after, we became Negroes. Mm-hmm. Negroes. Then we were Afro-Americans.
Afro-American, yeah.
Then we were black, and then we were African-Americans. So,
what are we now?
Lost. Yeah. We're lost. I refer to that as a community, as a people, to being lost. And when you read the Bible, when people are lost, God has to shake you up to bring you back.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's not a mistake that Donald Trump is sitting in the White House today, because the good Lord was needing us to wake up. And he knew we needed a shaking, and we better get to moving, because he's getting ready to shake it up.
Yeah,
and we better
too. I think Donald Trump is a part of the judgment. You know what I'm saying? He's going to judge the nation. But I like the fact, I love it. I love that people are kind of waking up. Yo, see what he's doing.
Right.
This in America, to me, like I saw through all the facades, whether it was Biden, Obama, like black people are still like, they not brash with it. They behind closed doors signing those things that's going to hurt us. You know what I'm saying? But he's just like, okay, y'all, we taking DEI, no Martin Luther King, no this, that. Bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, about time somebody come out with it instead of hiding behind, well, we're going to do this. Well, we can't really pass the law we want to, but the Republicans in the House, they're holding us back from getting the George Floyd lynching bill. It's the Republicans' fault. It's the liberals. No, show me the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me what's going on. So, and
Right.
back to our people, though, I was thinking about this today when I was contemplating, like I was like, our people would rather be entertained than educated.
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought about some of the content I make, and like just like this, we building, we educating. But if I put up something about Diddy or LeBron and Luka trading, or you know what I'm saying, like people will be, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, we would be rather entertained than educated, and I'm cool with that. Like you said, now I know, you know what I'm saying? I know who I'm dealing with, and I've always known, but I just have so much faith and hope in us that, you know what I mean? Y'all can't not see it forever. You know what I'm saying? You can't be blind forever.
Listen, all movements start with one person. One person has a thought, has an imagination, and has courage. Courage to do what we're doing tonight, and that is open their mouth and speak truth into the world. And that's what this is all about. Speaking truth into existence. Our people will get up and they will get moving. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know we have to get up off the ground and start moving forward, because everything our ancestors did before us, everything is being torn down right in front of our eyes, and we're not men and women enough. I'm talking about me. Mm-hmm. I can't talk about nobody else. Yeah. I can only speak about myself. I'm not man enough to do what's necessary for our people to wake up. And that's why I came on tonight, because I was talking to my wife recently, and she's the one who showed me the video. And I looked at it, and she looked at me, and she said, ain't nobody going to do nothing. Nobody's going to do nothing. And that right there cut me. See, that cut me. And I was like, wow, I know I'm capable. You see? Yeah. I don't expect someone who's not capable to say, hey, I'm going to have a rally in Goldsboro and we're going to do this. Well, you might just be talking, but I'm not just talking, because I'm capable. Okay. I'm capable to do it. Just like I said, I'm going to call Richard. Okay. I need to come up here and talk about these issues, because I'm unafraid and I'm unapologetic about being who I am. This is all I have to offer. I got grandkids coming up. What world am I going to leave back behind for them? It's a world that's crumbling in front of our eyes, but our eyes are closed to the fact that they're moving the goalposts right now as we speak. The goalposts are being moved back, and they're making them higher. So we can't get to it. So for those brothers and sisters who are living good, I applaud you. Yeah. But when it's time to protest, remember your ancestors who enabled you to live the high life, because you didn't do that. Let's don't get it confused. You did not do that, because if it wasn't for people's bloodshed, nobody that's walking around here right this minute would be living the way we're living, no matter how bad we think it is. Exactly. We'd be living a whole lot worse, because people died. They didn't risk their life. They died. So they gave their life up. They gave their life up. So we could have an opportunity to be free. And that thought of dying for your people is about to be resurrected in this country, because there's a whole lot of brothers and sisters who think just like what we think. They see what we see, and they have action on their brain. They don't have Facebook on their brain where they're just going to talk about it and blah, 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 and then it's over till the next incident. The reason why you get organized and do a protest and have an agenda to lay before people and so you can hold them accountable is so those incidents don't happen. So you stop those incidents from happening, and that's what we have to be working towards. As advocates for justice, that's our job. Now, if you're not an advocate for justice, then you're just a cheerleader. You see, you're a glorified cheerleader because you're cheering on Facebook and you're cheering on Instagram or some other platform. But when it's time for boots on the ground, that's when it matters. Boots on the ground. And there'll be a call coming real soon to all the listeners, all the people in Wayne County. Gather up because we're coming.
We definitely coming. And I want to thank my brother. And we can sit here and talk all night. Ain't gonna hold you no longer. We gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you before, I'm behind you. Because I think that and you said one thing that brought me in was to have an agenda, to have a demand for them to answer to. It's one thing to go out and show your presence, but you have to have something. Okay, this is what must be done, or we're gonna keep coming back and back and back until you do it. So I think that is great, man. I thank you for sharing the knowledge. We definitely gonna have you on. This might be a every Tuesday thing. You know what I'm saying? Because,
let me know. Let me know because there's so much going on that we need to be educating our people about what's happening.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is valuable information that needs to be passed along, and books that need to be read for our children. Those names of those great scholars who spent their lifetime studying the history of our people, not getting it from a European, getting it from our own scholars who went and dug in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Browder, I just heard him the other day. Those people went and dug in the dirt, and they taught and they wrote, and they got manuscripts for us to read so we'll know who we are. And it's just important for not just our youth, but our population in general to understand who we are. And that'll stop a lot of the foolishness that's going on in our community.
Once you know who you are, then you have a sense of pride. Like that's what was my catalyst for change. When I started reading all those books and heard of all those scholars and started listening to them, I was like, you know what? You're right. Like that, we are great people. You know what I'm saying? But if we would take our history from what America has given us, you would think that Black people have never done what so-called Black people, for my brother in there, have never done anything of value in this
right.
Earth. And that does play with you psychologically. I ain't gonna never be nothing. Black people won't never slave. You know what I'm saying? We want nothing but sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't read. We was over there in Africa running around naked, couldn't eat, had flies on our faces. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know who you truly are, then that okay. Well, what? Yeah, I supposed to be in prison. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be out here selling dope because why?
Right.
Black people ain't good for nothing else. But when you have that true history, that unadulterated 10,000 BC history from the great Kush empires and the Queen Nzinga and Ptolemy, all of those great people that I never heard of before I went to a library myself and said I don't want to read nothing about nobody else but some old Black people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So
that's right.
That is very essential for a person to have that knowledge of self. Know thyself, to thine own self be true. And that's what I think sometimes we are not able to know ourselves because we have been so unadulterated with this American culture and the narrative that they have placed on us. So yeah, and I'm excited. You got me ready to read. I don't know which book I'm gonna pick up now. You know, see books like this right here. See, temples, tombs, and hieroglyphics. Popular history of ancient Egypt. Right. You know, books like this. Let me see what we got here. I don't know. It's just so many of them. I gotta pick them up. My uncle was a great historian as well. He passed and gave me his book collection, and I have yet to read as many as I should. But yeah, man, we have a whole wealth of knowledge and history that is way beyond the 12 years and 4 years of college that we have been indoctrinated with.
Right.
Not
That's
educated,
right.
but indoctrinated with. So
Mm-hmm.
I thank you, my brother. You know, so I'm gonna let you get out of here. Is there anything else you want to leave before we go, man?
I just want to say that Black power means something. And it's our Black power that's going to bring us where we really want to be in the coming days. Appreciate y'all having me on. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, we're gonna connect, man. Let me know when you're ready to get everything in order, and I'll get back with you. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Make sure y'all share the video. Subscribe if y'all have not, but I really appreciate y'all. My brother done cut out real quick. I wanted to end the live, but I really appreciate y'all, everybody on the chat. I can't call all the names, but I see y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, but make sure y'all check out the video tomorrow morning, because that's going to be an eye-opener as well. Peace and love. Y'all have a blessed day.